The African ones were so far from the rest. What a time to have been alive, eh? Actually, scratch that. There's nothing to show where the African workers were. And first class and second class were the Europeans and the Asians. So Africans had to stand somewhere there. Good morning, guys. It's a brand new day. I am coming to you straight from Jinja, Uganda. I got here last night, but I didn't get a chance to film anything. Because the place that I was going to, the taxi driver told me, the boda driver told me it wasn't very safe at night. So I didn't want to get my phone out, film stuff. Now I'm going to the Railway Museum. I heard it's a very interesting place to visit. Let me talk to you when I get to a quieter, much quieter place, because this place is a little bit noisy. But in the meantime, let me show you what Jinja looks like. So I'm currently at the Railway Museum and I've learned a lot of history, a lot. It's really hard to put it in one video, but I'm going to summarize it for you guys to see because it's very, very interesting. And I will start at the beginning. Let me zoom out. So this was life before the railway, how people used to transport things, using caravans, using canoes on Lake Victoria. These were the roads before proper roads were constructed. Yes, and this is the map of Uganda before any of the railway lines came in. And then back then, the train was known as a lunatic express because of the problems that they encountered when constructing. The costs, right?
And the construction of your lines.
The costs that were incurred. Okay. So it was constructed mostly by Indian workers. Okay.
Then from
Mombasa to Kisumu.
They had to open the line, and then the steam engine train was able to pass on that line.
Okay, in 1902.
Yeah.
Okay.
This shows the steam engine train that passed on that line.
The first. Oh, sorry, I keep touching. Sorry, I'm not allowed to touch. Yes. So the first steam engine ever.
From Mombasa to Kisumu.
Okay.
Then this shows life at Savo.
Yeah, this is where the man-eaters of Savos, they used to eat the Indians who were constructing the line.
Port Nyonyo or Port Bell, where people bring their cotton, and while here, the load of the steam engines.
Okay. So this was the first ever railway line in Uganda. It was from Port Bell to Bombo. Okay, and people would bring, this was the Port Bell, and people would bring their cotton here, which would be loaded into the
steam engine ship.
Okay.
And then the steam engine ship.
Okay, so I saw something interesting. This was the ship. These ships were used in Lake Victoria.
Lake Victoria and then Lake Choke on different water bodies.
Okay, so people would use these steam engines
then to connect nearby rail lines.
To collect the cotton around Lake Victoria, and then they would take it to
the lines.
Okay, take it to the railway lines.
Train.
Okay. Okay, wow. And you say that process took 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
The process of collecting
the cotton from around Lake Victoria to Mombasa.
It took 6 months. Yes. Guys, can you imagine all that time to collect? So this was the first aid cabinet. From which year?
This is in 1948 around the company which was East African Railways and Harbors.
So this one was from 1948
to 1977. That's when the company operated.
Okay, 1948, 1977. The first stretcher. Okay.
Water purifier.
So this water purifier told me something very interesting.
For first and second class.
It was
clean water.
It was only for first and second class. The first class was the Europeans, second class Asians, third class the Africans.
The natives.
And Africans were not allowed to drink from this.
Yes, get from other sources. For first and second.
So the other sources would be like rivers and whatnot. No purified waters for African. Wow. And then these were the lights that were used at
kerosene hand lamps.
Okay.
Light, yeah, to provide light.
You said something very interesting about this one.
This was like for giving signals at the station.
Okay.
But then to get the colors, either red, either put a green and then a yellow lens.
You change the lens.
Light to get out red.
Okay, so you change the lens
And then you light to get the color that you want.
Okay, change the lens to yellow and green, and that one would give a red light.
Yes,
very manual.
in front of the train.
This one was in front of the train.
Yes.
Okay.
Then this shows the lines and then the Soga region.
Okay, so
Eastern part of the country.
so this
That was
Namasagali.
station.
What was the meaning of Namasagali?
Means greeting the trains.
So this is
the kids could use that as an excuse to go away from home or to avoid doing homework.
okay.
When we are at the stations just to play.
Okay.
And fun.
So Namasagali means greeting the train, and that's the excuse kids would use to avoid homework.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it sank. You say it sank.
In 1962, because of increased water levels, Namasagali station was submerged or cleared by the water.
Submerged.
Or cleared by the waters, and it never opened.
So this one doesn't exist today because it's under the lake.
Yes.
Because the water levels in the lake increased. So this is the only thing that's remaining at that station.
Namasagali station.
Okay, and what's this? A crane?
The crane for transshipping.
Okay, just the crane that's remaining. And this was the bench that was there originally.
Yes. First and second class.
First and second class were the only people allowed. Again, first class and second class were the Europeans and the Asians. So Africans had to stand somewhere there. Oh, wow. And this is Luzinga, the old station, Uganda, no longer in use as well.
Yes.
Okay, but preserved for historical purposes. Okay.
Different years, like the ones were moving to different parts of the country.
Different years for construction. So initially, it was the railway was built to transport cotton. But then they discovered copper at Kasese, and then they started, yes, in 1956.
From Kampala to Kasese.
They built a line from Kampala to Kasese to transport copper, sorry. Okay, that is interesting. And this is
That is Mombasa to Jinja.
the construction from Mombasa to Jinja was in 1928, and it got to Kampala in 1931. Okay. Wow, very interesting. I'm trying to summarize, but yeah. Okay, so here about the race, this was also a very interesting part. So you said
Most of the work by Asians.
the construction work was done by the Asians.
Telephone operators whites.
Telephone operators were white.
Then here one black man who was aiding in as a locomotive driver.
So locomotive drivers were only for Asians and white. There was only a single
One
black man. Your shadow is
Yeah.
coming here. So here,
Yes.
only one black man was allowed. What year was this?
That is East African, 1948, 1977.
1948 to 1977. There was only one black driver. And then this was the sports.
The very athlete is isolated from other black communities.
So only,
Very athletic.
so the Europeans and the Asians were not allowed to play with the blacks.
And all this could show that they are very athletes, all the sportsmen of the railways.
Okay, wow. And then we have,
Second class.
okay, we have first class dining. This was only for the Europeans.
Yes.
Okay.
And then third class.
Third class for the Africans. So guys, look at the difference. Here you can sit and fine dine, but here you just stand. There's no seats even. Oh my God.
First and second class booking, and then
Booking
economy
office.
class, booking tickets.
Booking office, first and second class. This is for white and Asians. And then the blacks, second and third.
Yes.
And there's this block to separate them. They're not allowed to. So guys, the toilet with white over there. That one was for the Europeans. This one was for the Asians, second class. And then the African ones were so far from the rest. What a time to have been alive, eh? So guys, this is what it looked like inside the train for the Asian workers. It's been refurbished. but these Asian workers had their own class. So this is where they sat. The workers who were constructing the railway line, just to be clearer, and this is where they slept. Look at the size of that thing. One compartment, another one, and then there was a very, very tiny kitchen in here, and then there was the washrooms, the bathroom, and the toilet. Asians. So if that was for the Asians, let's see what the ones for Africans look like. This is traumatizing. Actually, scratch that. There's nothing to show where the African workers were. So you Africans just came and stood all the way to where they're going. Yeah. Offered the services that they were supposed to offer, then go back home.
Yeah, guys, then you go back home.
Being an African has been hard since time immemorial. Well, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's actually very, very sad, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So guys, that's it for the tour. You can see the Railway Museum of Uganda back there. So that's it for the tour. I will include a video that I was shown here to like summarize the whole tour, because I did it like really, really fast. Apparently, they don't allow you to record here. So it was undercover work. So I include a video to summarize the whole tour, and then I will see you in the next one. Bye. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I will see you in a new destination. Bye.
This history does not start in Uganda, but rather in London, where Parliament sat in 1895 to approve the construction of a railway that would go all the way from Mombasa to the shores of Lake Victoria in present-day Kisumu. While not a mile of it was in Uganda, it was called the Uganda Railway because the aim was to reach Uganda, strategically important for the British to assert their domination at the source of the Nile and to exploit the potential wealth of the country. It was a very ambitious undertaking at the time, and many opposed it for reasons of cost. So, the Uganda Railway also became known as the Lunatic Express. Indeed, its construction proved difficult and many people died along the way, as many as 4 every mile laid. Most of the workers were brought in from India. 2,493 lost their lives, some to marauding lions. Having started in 1896 in Mombasa, the line led to the creation of Nairobi along the way and eventually reached Kisumu in 1902. Once in Kisumu, what next? Freight and passengers would then have to board a ship that called at Port Bell, Entebbe, and at other stations around the lake. And it is to link Kampala with Port Bell that the first railway was built in 1909. By that time, cotton had been promoted in Uganda, and an efficient way to export it had to be found to feed the cotton mills in England and in the rest of the British Empire. Another railway was built around that time to bring cotton from Bombo. It came to be known as the Small Railway, Railway, and passed through the place we now know as Kalere. With time, the railway network expanded and eventually reached Kampala, having crossed the Nile on the bridge we can still see today. Look at the early images of a train on the bridge. If you watch carefully, you can also see the firewood stacked at Jinja Station. This would fuel the steam locomotives that were used throughout the system. The railways connected many places in the country, eventually reaching Lira and Kasese. They also connected with the places where steamships and barges were in use to ferry both people and merchandise. The lines were primarily meant to collect raw materials, cotton, and copper in Kasese. During the colonial period, Africans were generally seen as inferior to the Asian community, many of whom were descendants of those who came in to build the railway in the first place. This racial disposition was reflected in the ways the railway operated. Some jobs were reserved for the white and Asian people, and the trains themselves had different classes of travel. While the class depended on the amount of money you were prepared to pay, the poor were overwhelmingly African and traveled in third class.
Wow.
The British and other foreigners traveled first class, but in all the towns served by the railways, the station became an important center of economic activity. The discrepancy in jobs led to many conflicts in the railways, especially as independence approached. In 1959, there was a strike and white employees had to take on the tasks normally carried out by Africans to keep the railways and ships going. The 1960s saw the final expansion of the railway, with the line eventually reaching Pakwach. The railways also linked with new industries and small businesses. Trains were frequent, carrying both passengers and freight. But the following years started to see a decline. Many of the ports, such as Namasagali and Utiaba, got submerged by floods and never reopened.